Hey Booktube, Matt from Science Fiction Reads here. Here to get back into some sort of normality. So I thought I'd talk about what I've been reading and what I've bought recently. Obviously I can't not acknowledge all these new subscribers and that last video I put out. I took that down because that was meant for my little corner of the internet. I didn't expect it to take off, and for a while it was a distraction, and then it got too out there and I was uncomfortable with it. So I took that down. And yeah, this channel has always been kind of my escape from reality, so I don't know how much I want to talk about that stuff, but I did want to just thank everybody for all the comments. I think there was over 10,000. Part of why I put that video out was I figured people who follow my channel and other channels I follow would probably leave I thought there'd be maybe 50 nice comments, and I could you know, feel better reading those. And also I was thinking for my partner, she would be able to read them, but we never expected it to take off. So all the positive comments and all the other parents it reached who have lost children was crazy and very helpful to read. It's just, it got too much exposure and I got uncomfortable. So really from the bottom of our hearts, I thank you for all the comments and the positivity. So yeah, I don't know how much I'll talk about that going forward, but at least for this video, I just want to get back into the swing of things. So if you found me through that chat or through that video, but you stuck around because you're interested in science fiction, you like old science fiction books, then this is the place. I read newer stuff, but I like to focus on the older stuff. So probably 80 or 90% of what I read and talk about and acquire is older, vintage, classic stuff. And this is no exception. When my son was actively passing away, I had been aware of an online auction, and I figured, well, if I win these books, that'll be some sort of distraction in the near future. And I was the only one that bid on these 50-ish, mostly book club editions, and I won all 50 for a total of $7. So there's other books too. I'm gonna split them into some other video, but yeah. So let's get into these. Or wait, I think I usually talk about what I've read. Let's do that. Over a month ago, I finished The Best of John W. Campbell. I'm supposed to do a video with Ira at SF Words of Wonder and Richard at Vintage SF, because we started a series where we read these together and then talk about them. I don't know if we'll get around to actually doing this. Maybe we'll just reread the one standout story. I have a feeling all three of us have a similar opinion on this. But the standout was Who Goes There, which of course was made into The Thing, the movie, and made into a movie more than once. And it was good. It was almost as if it was written by someone else other than the other stories, because it was so much better than the other stuff. Maybe we'll talk about that in a video. I don't know when that will occur. And then one of the books from this haul that I have already read, my first book after getting back into reading, was I don't know if this is my first James Gunn. This is 3 short stories. I've probably read short stories of his in an anthology. But this was just 3 short stories. I believe this collection is kind of a sequel to a previous collection of 3 short stories, but from what I could tell, it really didn't matter if you read them first. So they were okay. I can barely remember. I'm still not sleepy well. I have insomnia and then all this other shit that went on, so reading is difficult. But the 3rd story was probably my favorite, The Immortal, wherein kind of this weird post-apocalyptic society exists with some aristocracy, and this guy who's working toward being blessed with immortality kind of thing gets kind of sent on a mission to escort this girl and this blind man to some sort of other city enclave or something, and basically his perceptions of the world collapse around him, and he learns the true reality of things. And it was really good. It was basically, in that world, immortality is achieved by this weird mutation in this one family's blood, and this family has basically been hunted down, and I think the girl's like the last one left or something. Kind of the stories are blending together, but at the time he's unaware that this girl is part of this family, and he has to escort her to this place, and yeah, his whole perception of his reality falls apart. It was good. The other two were just so-so. One about the difficulties of traveling to Mars, cooped up with 3 or 4 other people, everybody going insane, that kind of thing. Not blown away, but I did go ahead and order a book of his, The Listeners, which I've been interested in for quite a while, and then after I finished this, I read the synopsis on Wikipedia. Very much my thing, so I ordered that, and looking forward to that arriving. And that's all I've read, but I'm back, I think, into reading. I mean, I'm reading other stuff, mostly grief-type books, but I'm trying to get back into fiction. So yeah, I read that. Don't think I'll be keeping that. The majority of these hardcovers I won't be keeping. Most of them I'll give away or donate. Some I will try to sell, and then a small handful I will keep. So just some randoms here. The Year's Best Fantasy Stories 13, edited by Arthur Saha. And there's not many fantasies in this haul either. This is from '87. And it's got the usual type of people you would expect. Tanith Lee, Nancy Kress, Judith Tarr, but yeah, just, you know, I'm not so interested in a random anthology of fantasy. I won't be keeping that, but here's a strange one, anthology-wise. Perpetual Light, edited by Alan Ryan. An anthology of science fiction stories dealing with religion. But the few reviews I found online were mostly complaining that it's really just stories about Western religion, which is pretty lame. That's another one I don't think I'll be keeping. Didn't even look at it in any detail, but people that stand out to me, Gregory Benford, Brian Aldiss, Robert Silverberg, Tanith Lee, yeah. It's a space issue and also not so interested, so won't be keeping that either. The best stuff, or the stuff I'm most excited about, I'm saving for the end. I can't remember now if this is a novel or I think this is 2 novels by Michael Q. McDowell, Alternities. Don't know much about it other than I did look it up and wasn't interested, so I won't be keeping it. A CJ Cherry, Cuckoo's Egg. I have tons of her book club editions stored away. I have a lot of her stuff up here in paperback, but in the next year or 2 when we move and have more space, hopefully, for books, I'm gonna have a book club edition bookshelf, and a lot of those will come out. This will not be one of them. The Story of the Stone. This is the second in a trilogy, I believe, by Barry Hewart. And it sounds like, from what I read online, it's actually well regarded, well written. But it's not the kind of thing I would care to keep in hardcover, especially the second out of 3. So something to look up sometime. Joe Haldeman, Dealing in Futures. This published by Viking. I don't know if it's a book club or not. I don't think so. But yeah, a bunch of his short stories. I probably won't keep this. Only Joe Haldeman I've read was The Forever War, which I read early on and just absolutely cemented my interest in science fiction. It was the first story I think I read that really played with time dilation and fell in love with the concept. Second variety, this is classic short stories by Philip K. Dick. I actually have a copy of this already, although I have it for sale on eBay. This is just a paperback, not keeping. I have read a few Philip K. Dick's stories and short stories and novels, and have not really been blown away, but there's a number of his stuff I want to read still. Okay, we have Frank Herbert. I think, is that short stories or is that a novel? Yeah, that's short stories. Book club edition, published in '85, I believe. I've had this at various times in paperback. I may still have it in paperback. It's got the faded spine, but otherwise it's not bad. I doubt I'll keep this. This was a cool one. This is somewhat scarce and hard to find. It's A Talent for War by Jack McDevitt. I did not realize until I acquired it that I think this was the only hardcover, at least in this side of the world, I believe. I have this in paperback. It's the first in his Alex Benedict stories, which I think go by another title, but I can't remember what the title is. And his other long-running series, which is 8 to 11 books or something, the Priscilla Hutchins books, the Academy books. I've read all of those except the prequel. Really loved them, and they're kind of like, they're in the same universe as this, but they take place 10,000 years before Alex Benedict stories. God, it's beautiful. Let's see if we can get some credit for the cover art. Ron Wolotsky, who has popped up various times in the cover arts of books I have acquired. So yeah, that is one I want to read. I actually did start it once years ago and just wasn't interested at the time and put it back down. But yeah, I want to, I don't know, maybe keep that and read more Jack McDevitt. A couple of Heinleins here that I have zero interest in. I have over 50 paperbacks in a box, never read anything by him. That's something I need to correct as well, but I certainly have no interest in just a few random hardcovers, both of which I already have in paperback, I believe. One of those I don't think was a or a book club, but whatever. We have some Greg Bear here. I don't think I'll keep any of these because I have them in paperback. Have I read? I think I've read all of these. Aeon, I'm struggling to decide if I try to sell this in a lot of Greg Bear books or keep it just because it's a nice conditioned book club edition. It doesn't look too faded, the jacket is in great shape, and it's an absolutely amazing hard SF novel. I think I read it last year. Blew me away. I have it here beside me in paperback once or twice because I have an omnibus thing, but don't know if I'll keep that, but gorgeous and a great book. His short story collection Tangents, which I read years ago and hated, and then I read another collection of short stories after he passed away recently. Didn't care for those so much either, but his novels are incredible. The sequel to Aeon, so actually I have not read this one, but I do have it in paperback, so I don't think I'll keep any of these. I did want to read this, but I had already read, I think, 3 Greg Bears in a row at the time. I just couldn't continue. It was a bit much. The Forge of God, this one's faded. I read this last year too, and also really enjoyed it. Oh man, didn't notice it was wraparound. It is a book club edition, but really good. It is a first contact novel, but the first contact is kind of in the background, and you're just seeing the effects that it has on Earth and society through several different people. Reminded me of Robert Charles Wilson's type of writing, and specifically his book, The Harvest, which was also, in a way, a first contact novel where the first contact took place in the background right at the start and then was kind of just the background of the story. That book was probably better than this, but Another great Greg Bear. Okay, we have some Larry Niven here. None of these I'm keeping, and then later there's a few that I think I am keeping. The Legacy of Hero, or Herod, which he co-authored. I have this in paperback, or at least I did. I think actually I got rid of it. I'll have to get one again, because I have many Larry Nivens in paperback, but there's only a few special ones I'll be keeping in hardcover of his stuff. Oath of Fealty, this is one I have not read. I like the cover at the presentation, but I have this in paperback. I think these are all book club. His Integral Trees, I have not read this series, but I have them both. I've had them many times in various paperbacks. I've had the book club editions many times, sold them several times. Smoke Ring, these are two I look forward to reading. But no desire to keep the hardcovers. A World at a Time, I had an old first edition of this that I read a long time ago. This one I'm tempted to keep, actually, because it's just in nice shape, but I don't think it's that great of a book. Not one of his better No in Space novels, or stories in general, but God, it's so beautiful. Do we have credit for the author? Rick Sternbach. Now, I might have to rethink that, although I think I already have this one listed for sale online, but God, that's awesome looking. All right, we have some Arthur C. Clarke's, all of which I have already in paperback, or I think I have this one in hardcover, which I need to replace. So I certainly don't need another one. These are actually illustrated. Here's some from A Meeting with Medusa, which is a great story. Wind from the Sun, one of my favorite short stories of his, involving a solar sail race. So yeah, I'll probably have some sort of lot where I'm selling some book club editions, and these will be in there. Songs of Distant Earth, one I've read and have in paperback. I think it's strange to me, but I think Clarke said this is one of his favorites, if not his favorite, that he wrote. That might just be a false memory I have. It wasn't one of my favorites of his. Tales from the White Heart. I have this in paperback. I don't know if I've read it. I've read so many Arthur C. Clarke short story collections. But yeah, that one's kind of neat. I have a lot of book club editions in this kind of livery, but I don't need this. Here's a neat one from Fantasia Press, but unfortunately no dust jacket. It's Stalking the Nightmare by Harlan Ellison. So a short story collection. Fantasia Press puts out awesome copies of books with a really great cover art. This was released in 1982. Has a foreword from Stephen King. And then the contents there. And then a bunch of Frederick Pohl. I don't think I'll keep any of these either. Some of them I have in paperback. Other I've had copies of and just wasn't interested. So these I'll probably give away or maybe try to sell. Coming to the Quantum Cats. Black Star Rising, another one I'm not so interested in. Beyond the Blue Event Horizon, this one's in rough shape. I have a better copy on the shelf beside Gateway, which is the sequel to. The Day the Martians Came, which is not one I had heard of until I got this. Narbelda Limited. And Venus Inc., which he co-wrote with C.M. Kornbluth, but actually I believe this is an omnibus of 2 stories. Yeah, it's the Space Merchants and the Merchants' War. So that is interesting, but I have a paperback of one, if not both, so I'm not keeping that either. And I will have to move some things around in order to get to the rest. All right, just a few more here. These were ones I was a little more excited about and am more likely to keep. The Visitors by Clifford Simak. I have a nice little collection of Clifford Simak book club editions, as well as paperbacks, but it's hard not to collect a bunch of his stuff in book club editions once you realize you have a decent amount. This is from 1979. A somewhat different version first appeared in Analog magazine. I can't remember what this one is about, but it looks like the main character's last name is Conklin, which I imagine is a shout out to Groff Conklin, who I think was an editor. So that's neat. Got the guy fly fishing, and I think it's this kind of like 2001 A Space Odyssey type thing shows up. Speaking of Arthur C. Clarke, this awesome copy of Childhoods, and I know it's just a book club edition, but you know, one of his better books, one of his best and well-known. I loved it, so I think I'm gonna keep this. It's got the trippy fungus book plate from some previous owner. So yeah, I am going to wrap that in a jacket and put it on the shelf probably. Here's what I was excited about. It has no jacket, but it's the Best of Frederick Pohl, which is one of the 4 or 5 I don't have from that 21 or so set of books that I'm breeding with Richard and Ira. So I am collecting them in paperback, so I'll have to get this one still, but it is nice that this is now an option for us to read because all 3 of us have it now. Let's go to a few trippy Larry Nivens. This is one I've had in paperback, got rid of, and then realized I actually wanted it. I'll still have to find a copy in paperback and then probably replace this, but I couldn't let this go. I'm probably not keeping the other Nivens I've shown, but this is Dream Park, which he co-wrote with Stephen Barnes, but look at that cover art. I believe the premise is, I'm not sure if it's like a virtual reality or it's somewhat actually physically real, like it is a park you go to, but you assume the role of characters and stuff. Kind of an early Ready Player One type thing maybe, but I mean, let's see if we can see who drew or painted this. Jacket painting by Carlos, I'm not gonna butcher that name, but that is awesome. I mean, book club editions sometimes get hate, but this is pretty cool. I'll tell you what's not cool. More than 2 pages of characters. I hate that. That's a bad sign. But I still look forward to reading this, and I might actually read it soonish because it sounds like the kind of thing I need to read right now. Something fun. This beat up, terrible copy of Ringworld, but for some reason I've always wanted it because it's just so bizarre. I mean, give me a break. Look at that. Not how I pictured the Pearson Puppeteers or Speaker for Animals. But you gotta love that retro. I mean, it's a terrible conditioned jacket, but and I have the nice paperback that I want, but I think I'm gonna keep this. And then another one I have in paperback, short story collection, Limits. But I can't get rid of this amazing wraparound cover art. I will put that in a Brodart plastic dust jacket and protect it from the sun and everything else. Another one I'm considering reading soon. Okay, The Eye of the Queen by Philip Mann. I have not looked into this one yet, so I'm not sure if I'll be keeping it or what. I don't think I've read anything from Philip Mann. But yeah. This is a anthology edited by Silverberg, Mutants. I'm only keeping this because I have several other book club editions of short stories edited by Silverberg, so they look nice on the shelf together. I've read, I think, 2 of the other 3 or 3 of the other 4. And if I ever go to sell them or something, I'll have a nice little collection of them to sell. But let's see who's in here. This was from '74. And almost entirely people I recognize. I believe we have another short story collection. This is Ray Bradbury, Long After Midnight. I still have not read any Bradbury. The Dark Beyond the Stars by Frank M. Robinson. I might have this in paperback, but I can't be bothered to dig through my mini boxes of books I have no room for, so I'm going to hold on to this because it just seems like a dark and brooding, atmospheric read with a very troubled character and his world kind of falling apart around him on this generation ship. I think where most people have lost hope and it's just getting bleak. I kind of feel like I want to read that too, but I think I'm going to try and read something a little more cheery. Something I've wanted for a long time just for the cover art. This is Doris Pachercha's Spaceling. I think this is kind of young adultish, or at least it's going to read that way. I think it's about a girl in a world who can teleport to various different worlds, and you inhabit the creatures that live in that world. So I did look at this up a bit. I think you fall through those rings and you just become the creatures in that world. So in this case, you become these well, I think they were described as otter-like creatures, but they look more reptilian. I have read 1 or 2 things from Pachercha. Her novels are pretty bonkers. All right, a couple awesome anthologies here. This is Galaxy's 30 Years of Innovative Science Fiction, edited by Frederick Pohl, Martin H. Greenberg, and Joseph D. Olander. This is going to have some awesome stuff in it, but let's see here. Who do we have? Fritz Leiber, Damon Knight, William Tenn, Robert Sheckley, Zana Henderson, Cordwainer Smith. The Lady Who Sailed the Soul is the Cordwainer Smith story, which is a really good one. All his stories are really good. Philip K. Dick, Asimov, Silverberg, Niven, Theodore Sturgeon. Yeah, Harlan Ellison, Le Guin, Bester. Yeah, this has an all-star lineup. I guess they're right there. It actually says all-star right there. Yeah, really pleased to find that. One of those things I get so excited to find, and then it'll go in a box and I'll never read it. But I'm glad to have it. And similar to that, the Magazine of Fantasy and Science Fiction, a 30-year retrospective, edited by Edward Furman and Isaac Asimov. So similar type thing. This came out in 1980 by Mercury Press. I'm actually just going to check the Galaxy. I'm a little curious when that came out. Uh, 1980 as well. So yeah, this is also full of a lot of familiar names. Anna Henderson, Harlan Ellison, Richard Matheson, James Tiptree Jr., Walter M. Milliard Jr. Yeah, Alfred Bester's in this as well. Oh geez, there's lots. Avram Davidson, Thomas M. Dish, Brian Aldiss, Asimov, yeah. Just show some of the stories there. For anyone interested who might just want to pause it. I don't know. These are probably hard to find. I've never seen either. It's just cool to have such a thing. All right, we've got 4 left here. The Rapture Effect by Jeffrey A. Carver. got several of his books now, most of which I think are in the same series. I can't remember why I put this in the pile of most likely keeping. I must have looked it up and it sounded interesting. Here's a cool find, Mythico Wood by Robert Holdstock. Holdstock wrote one of my favorite books. Doesn't mean I can remember the name of it. Oh, yeah, Where Time Winds Blow is the book he wrote that I absolutely loved. This is something he's much more well known for, the beginning of a multi-book series he wrote. And of course, it is a book club edition, but it's very nice. 1984, I think this was released. Yeah, just really nice looking. All right, two more. We have Nancy Kress and Alien Light, which is a book I was interested in acquiring, though not in hardcover. So I should maybe prioritize reading this and then getting rid of it. I believe this involves a colony on an alien world, and they're kind of being observed or looked after, or maybe they're being left alone or something, but I think it's another one of those books where the characters' perceptions of reality kind of change or fall apart kind of thing. Or I'm completely misremembering. I am still crazy sleep deprived, but it is one I've been interested in. It's a nice looking book, but I don't particularly want it in hardcover. Nancy Kress is someone I have got to read. She's got the Probability trilogy, I think maybe you would call it. It's got probability in all the 3 book titles. That is one I want to read. I think it's kind of a hard SF space opera. And the last book in that collection is from the Classics of Modern Science Fiction, which put out by Crown. Richard at Vintage SF just put out a video on this series. These are really nice looking books. And this is just a collection of short stories. There's at least one other that collects different years, if not a few more. And Farmer is someone, I've read various things of his and I either absolutely love it or I'm just not into it. But I'm happy to have this. And that concludes this particular book haul. I have some paperbacks over there, but I'll save them for another video once I've read some stuff. So yeah, we're hanging in there, one day at a time kind of thing. And I just wanted to get a video out there and get back to normal. Now that it's filmed, I can sort through these, put some on the shelves, put some in storage kind of thing, keep busy. Yeah, I just wanted to get one out there, and again, thank you to all the people who had positive things to say when I posted that video, and thank you to those who found the channel through that video and stuck around because you're actually interested in science fiction. That's cool. I'm a super tiny channel, very proud of the 2,000 or so subscribers I had before that video exploded. And I'm just gonna keep doing what I've always done, which is recent reads and book haul kind of thing. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.